Hi guys, it's Tara and welcome back to Crafting with Curly Cues. So today I'm super excited to be sharing 3 different cards that I created using the same rainbow background. And I have a whole separate video on how I created this rainbow background that I will link for you here up in the corner as well as at the end of this video. So I am using this stinking adorable stamp set simply entitled Unicorn by Jane's Doodles. So cute, you guys. Are you kidding me with these adorable little unicorns? So I decided that rainbows and unicorns are a perfect match, because duh. So I pulled these little cuties out and I have zero plan. I'm just going to throw this out there and be totally honest with you guys. So when I created the background, it was a giant background on a piece of Bristol Smooth White cardstock. And I, once I was all done, went ahead and used some random die cuts from my collection and cut as much as I could out of this background because I was just trying to see how much I could create with one background, but I legit had zero plan, okay? So now I have all these little die cut pieces and I'm like, well, I want to do something with these gorgeous rainbow backgrounds, and unicorns and rainbows go together. So why the heck not stamp every image in this stamp set? Like legit, this is almost, there's one rainbow image that I did not stamp, but I'm going to use it later on the inside of my cards. So I basically just grabbed a scrap piece of Nina 110-pound solar white cardstock, and I'm inking up all these images with some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink because it is Copic friendly, and I am going to do some Copic coloring here. So my kitty decided to help me out with my Copic coloring. So that's Ray. So you can see I have one of these little pieces of that I die cut off to the side. If she needs to go away. She's like up in everything. And I'm using that for my kind of color palette inspiration while I color these little unicorns. So that's why that's sitting there. I used some MFT stitched frame dies to create this little frame, and I'm going to use both the frame and the inside piece on a card today. So I am coloring my unicorns, and I'm using just some really light gray shading, and then I'm going to blend it out with my colorless blender, which I did discover has dried up. That is how long I've been out of the game, you guys. My stinking colorless blender dried up. It's a sad day in my world. Fortunately, I had a set of less expensive alcohol markers that came with a blender, so I was able to use that to do some of my blending, but it's just not the same, you guys. I need to go back out and get myself another colorless blender or a refill or something. But that's beside the point. I can mourn the loss of my colorless blender later. Right now, we are making some cute unicorn cards. So I wanted to stick with some of the color palettes that are in the rainbow that I created, and I have all of the colors in the rainbow listed in the supplies below the video, as well as over on my blog, as well as in the other video where I create the rainbow backdrop. So lots of fabulous Distress Oxide inks being used, you guys. I'm obsessed with blending Distress Oxide inks. They're like literally bomb.com. So for this little unicorn, I decided to go with some purples and some orange yellows here and make just a sweet little rainbow unicorn. I was going to try to do like super complex like rainbow manes and like all kinds of craziness. And I was like, you know what? Kind of the point of this project for me was I tend to overcomplicate cards. Like I tend to gravitate towards really fancy like scene cards, or just like lots of complex like layers and all that kind of stuff. And I was kind of wanting to prove to myself that I could create like one giant background that was super fun, that I took a little bit of time, to extra make, and then be able to make these sweet little kind of clean and simple cards that are just as good as the ones that I take 2 hours to make. So I was able to make 3 cards plus the background in about, I want to say it maybe took me 2 hours to do all 3 and the background, which for me is pretty darn good because normally it takes me about that long to do a card because I'm crazy. It's my therapy, you guys. So I like drag it out as long as possible. I put on my YouTube and I'm usually watching like Jennifer Maguire, or I like Prairie Paper and Ink and Laura Fedora, Laura Basson. I mean, I'm just like, I have all the crafty inspiration on in the background whilst I'm crafting, and I just like lose myself in it. Like, I'm sure you guys can relate. So when I find time in my crazy life these days to craft, I am like, I hunker down, you guys. I hunker down. So I was okay with taking 2 hours to make 3 cards, but I just was having so much fun playing with these little unicorns. I am on a kick this year. I know you guys have heard me say it before, but I'm going to keep saying it because that makes me stick to it, You got to put it out there in the universe so that it'll actually happen. But I am trying really hard to use the supplies that I already have on hand. So I'm not going to tell you guys about what's sitting on my craft desk next to me right now because I cheated a little bit in March and February. There were some really crazy cute releases that I could not resist. So I am buying less and I'm weaning myself off. But I'm also forcing myself to use stuff like this little unicorn set, for example. I've had in my stash forever and a day, and I can distinctly remember when I got it because I think it was Jennifer McGuire used it in a video. She made some cute little like spinner cards or something, and I was like, I must have this stamp set. And it was sold out everywhere, of course, because when Jennifer McGuire uses something, we all want it, right? So I couldn't get my hands on it. And when I finally got my hands on it, I remember doing like this crazy happy dance and being so excited. And then it arrives, and what happens? Nothing. I'm sure you guys can relate to that, right? Like, I'm so stoked, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. And then it gets put in the pile, and nothing happens. So I've had this stamp set forever. So it was super fun to finally get out and play with it, and I'm learning that that is super fun for me, and I'm doing that with lots of different stamp sets because I'm on a mission to use what I have instead of buying a ton of new stuff, and so it's been really fun to kind of finally bust out some of these sets that I know I was so excited about getting, and then you know, life just gets crazy and you just don't have time, or more appropriately, this happens to me all the stinking time, you guys. I buy too many at once and I just don't have time to use them all, which is probably what's going to happen with all the stuff on my desk right now. You guys, I should do like a haul video. You guys are going to be mad at me though, because I'm not supposed to be buying stuff. And there's some stuff up in here. But yeah, so busting out this stamp set was incredibly fun. So I am coloring the horns with some little Kaisercraft glitter gel pens just to add a little sparkle, and I did that same thing with the little hearts and stars in this set. And then I'm going to go completely crazy, you guys, and I'm going to fussy cut all of this out. So I'm a fussy cutter. I like to fussy cut. I don't know what my problem is, but it's something about it is relaxing to me. So even that little itty bitty star right there, that one right there, I'm going to cut that out with my scissors by myself. It took forever. Don't worry. It's not in the video. I don't make you watch. But so I still at this point do not have a plan. I have all these cute little unicorns and all this whatnot and no plan. So my first thing here is I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this little unicorn in this frame. That works, right? Like super simple. And I'm going to take one of these absolutely adorable sentiments in the stamp set. I really love the font mixing in sentiments. It's like one of my favorite things. And this set has some particularly cute little sentiments with little mixed fonts. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to use my VersaFine Black Onyx Pigment ink to stamp the sentiments because it stamps so crispy and so dark, and I love it. And this one says follow your dreams, and then I'm going to simply pop up this little frame and my unicorn on the front of this card. So like I said, I'm trying to stay pretty clean and simple, which is tricky for me. They're not one layer, but they are clean and simple. There's a lot of white in these cards, and I'm learning that that's okay. White space is good on a card. I mean, not every card design needs white space, but you can totally have a card design with white space, and it can have pack the same punch as a card that has all kinds of crazy stuff all over it. So I'm going to put this sweet little frame right there. And normally I would not like do a frame with like a decorative, like I would cut a frame out of a solid piece of cardstock. So this is something a little different for me, but that's part of, again, why I wanted to maybe make the unicorns a little bit less crazy. Like I didn't go rainbow manes and stuff, is because I'm using these rainbow accent pieces. So the unicorns I want to be magical and colorful and fabulous, but I don't need a whole bunch of extra like rainbow going on just because I don't want to get too distracted on the card. So I'm cutting eensy weensy pieces of foam tape to put all over the little elements of this little unicorn. This little guy happens to be a Pegasus. He's precious and a half. And then I'm going to peel the backs off of those, and I'm just going to pop him up right in the middle of that little square. And that's pretty much going to be the card, you guys. I did take some of these really fancy little iridescent crystals. These are stinking amazing, you guys. I think they're little things by Lucy's Cards or maybe Studio Katia. I don't remember where I got these. I think Pretty Pink Posh might have some. They're pretty popular right now. But I used some micro glue dots to adhere some of those to the front. And then I'm going to take one of those little hearts that I cut out, because remember, I have no plan, so I'm just grabbing as I go. And I decided that little heart needed to go right next to my sentiment. And then on the inside, I had this one image left in the stamp set that I didn't use. And I was like, dang it, I'm going to use this whole stamp set. It's happening. So I just got my picked raspberry Distress Oxide ink and just stamped that right in the inside of the card. And you can totally like write over it, or you could write under it, whatever you wanted to do. But it kind of ties the inside of the card to the outside of the card, which I think is fun. And I'm trying to be better about finishing up the insides of my cards, so that's something I'm working on. So now I'm going to start on my second card, and I decided to go ahead and use one of these beautiful word die cuts. So this is MFT's Hello Beautiful die set. I could not find it on the MFT site, you guys. I don't know if they're still making it or what the deal is, so I apologize if that's not in use, but I know you can get some word dies from all kinds of different companies all over the place and make the same look on a card. So I decided to use the beautiful as my die cut, and then I'm going to create this sweet little like night sky scene with this little unicorn and the little clouds that came in the set, which I colored in some little purple inks, just really super light purple shading. So I almost felt like that lent the scene more to the nighttime, like it made them make it seem a little bit more like twilight or something. So adorable, and I just love the doodly nature of this stamp set. I think it's so stinking cute. Like, so I am going to adhere my beautiful die cut right below that unicorn, and I'm using my quickie glue pen to put little tiny lines of glue on the back of that die cut, because I'm just going to adhere it directly to the front of my card. So sometimes I will stack up die cuts to add dimension. Sometimes I will just do different things with them, but this time I'm just popping it right onto the front of the card. I'm going to use my acrylic block to kind of weight it down a little bit there to make sure it's good and stuck. And then there's a sentiment in the stamp set that says, "You are magical." Well, I want my card to say, "You are beautiful." So I am taking a little piece of Post-it tape and I'm covering up the word magical in the sentiment and then applying my ink. And when I pull away my Post-it tape, all I have is "You are" inked up, and I was able to stamp it right above where it says beautiful and create a custom sentiment using my little word die there. So I have everything in here directly to the front of the card that I need, and now I'm going to do some more teeny, eeny, weeny foam taping, and pop this little unicorn and this other little cloud up in the front. So the unicorn's going to have all this little foam tape, but then I'm going to put just a little smidge of quickie glue on her little hooves because she's going to be standing on that cloud that's already popped up. So I want to make sure that she's good and adhered there and her little tiny legs don't unstick there, because she's got some little tiny stick legs. Like, let's be honest, these unicorns, they got some stick legs. But that's okay. They're super cute. I love how tiny, like, she's just balancing on that little cloud. It's freaking adorable, you guys. I'm in love with this stamp set. I use that itty bitty star as the dot on my eye because Lord only knows where the dot on the eye ended up from this die cut, you guys. Who the heck knows? And then I added a few more of my super cute little iridescent crystals. And then I add some sparkle to the mains, and I use my black glazed jelly roll pen on the little eye to make it really pop because I love to do that with critters. I also sparkled up the moon because the moon should be sparkly, right? And then I'm going to put that pink rainbow on the inside, just like with the other card. So it's going to create a really fun little set. So they're all just slightly different, but similar enough that they go together. And then that little rainbow on the inside kind of ties them all together. It's just super fun, you guys. I absolutely love it. So you can see that I am now using the inside piece. So never let your die cuts go to waste, especially when you spent time creating them by hand like this with this background paper that I created. So I'm going to use the inside little square from the frame that I used earlier, and I'm going to use it on my last card here. This one was probably the hardest as far as white space for me, but I actually really loved the way that it turned out. So now I'm going to use the "You Are Magical" sentiment as it was intended, and I'm going to stamp it up here in the corner. And then I'm going to use my Copic multiliner to add some dashed lines all around this little square, just to kind of create some grounding for it and make my card design kind of look complete. So I want that sentiment to look really stinking close to that square. Then I'm just going to go in by hand. I don't use like a ruler or anything, you guys. Like, the whole stamp set's kind of doodly looking, so it didn't really bother me that I cannot draw a straight dashed line to save my life. It kind of went with the theme of the card. It's totally fine. So You can see the container that my sweet little crystals are in up there in the corner. I will link to Amazon to the container that I like to use for my sequins and my crystals. You guys are going to stink and love it. It's absolutely amazing. And I will link to it. I think I can fit like 84 of those little guys in my container. I have no idea what it's called, you guys, but it's phenomenal. And I will make sure that you have access to the same phenomenal. Do you see what I'm doing right now? This is how much I want to get immersed in my crafting. Do you see that I am, did you hear me earlier when I talked about the tiny stick legs on the unicorn? I am legit cutting foam tape right now to go on the back of those itty bitty little stick legs. I am seriously bonkers. I need to get out more. I'm also going to put foam tape on the back of these teeny tiny hearts. Yes, even that itty bitty one right there. I'm going to put foam tape on that. How did I do it? I don't know. Could I do it again? Probably not. Let's just be honest. I rewatched this because I actually made these cards a little while ago. I had a day that randomly I didn't have anything going on, and I was able to be in my craft room like for 8 solid hours and create like 4 or 5 cards, which is great because I don't get time all the time, and that's what's allowed me to actually put videos up all month, is that I like front loaded my month with all these cards. But I was rewatching this footage to edit my video, and I was like, Tara, you put foam tape on that tiny heart? Holy cow, girl. Like, I was like lecturing myself, like, you need to get out more. So now everything's popped up. It was worth it. It looks really cute with the foam tape on the tiny heart. And now I'm going to add in some more of my crystals because they're out and they're amazing and I love them. And I really need to get myself like a little jewel picker because I've seen people using those now that these crystals are so popular. I don't have one, and it's a pain in the tuchus to use my fingers, but I will be getting one of those soon. So I also put the rainbow on the inside of that one. I just forgot to show you guys. So now I'm going to add my washi to my stamp set. This means I've used it, and that triggers me to know which ones I've used in my collection and which ones I haven't as I work my way through all the stamp sets I have. So I'm going to show you the 3 cards that I created, as well as a bunch of the pieces I still have left of that rainbow background, you guys. I have my daughter actually made 2 cards using some of those extra pieces. So getting lots of good use out of this rainbow background right now. So here is a look at all of the adorable little cards that I created using this rainbow background. I am so excited that you guys joined me. Make sure you check out the other video where I create the rainbow background. And here are a couple more videos for inspiration. If you click on my face here, you can subscribe to this channel so you never miss a video. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your comments and your thumbs up and your likes so much. You are the best, and I will catch you next time. Bye.